Shalom, I'll give all honor and glory and praise to Yahawah BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, QADASH. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me this truth and sincerity. Salutation to the hopeful elect that spirit out of the four corners of this earth. Alright, so the title of this lesson would be Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego passing through the fire testimony, right? Now, it's lucky if I butcher those names, but yeah, through the spirit, I believe they're pronounced Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Right. So they're gonna be there. This lesson is gonna be, passing through the fire, their testimony, which was, written right in Daniel the third chapter. So, the reason, through the spirit, I was just watching, watching some, some movies. I usually like to watch, different movies dealing with the word, right? You know, dealing with the scriptures, right? So I watching the book of Daniel, I believe. And, in the movie, on some point they kind of stick with the scriptures, you know, but they show, how they showed it where when they got put through that fire, when they got put in that fire, because when they got put in the fire, they the angels delivered them, right. They didn't, it's just like Daniel and the lions in the lion den, right. you know it shows that Yahweh Shah, he will deliver his servant, his true believers, your true servants out of, harm, right? Out of the fire, And we're gonna need that deliverance, right? We're gonna need that help anytime we're coming in, literally, because they are making this, they gonna make this MOTB, they're gonna pass laws to make this MOTB, you know, this micro C help, mandatory, that they're gonna pass, we got word three, the third woe that's on the brink, breaking out. We got a lot of things that are gonna come, and we're gonna need that deliverance. We're gonna need that. You know, Yahweh Shah to deliver us out of this trouble. Out of this trouble to come. Right. Right. So through the Holy Spirit, I was inspired. To just go in on this chapter, is in Daniel's third chapter. So I'm not gonna tarry too long. I'm gonna get right into it. So Daniel chapter 3 verse 1 reads, so the title is the king's golden image, right? Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold whose height was 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon, right? So they was in the kingdom of Babylon, right? Then this statue, which was a king statue. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. All right, so then the princes, the governors and captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up, and they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. So all these different governors, all these different, um, the different, all the different people that ruled, that had, semi power, right? But they were officials, right? They were, rulers, right? And they also and all the rulers, right, because they were rulers of the different provinces, right? So they came to the you know, to that image, right, to that city of Dora, you know, in Babylon to, you know, basically worship it. Then Herod cried aloud to you, you is commanded, all people, nations, and languages, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, pastry, dulcimer, Slakia, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. And whoso felleth not down and worshipeth shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fire furnace. Right. So all these people, you know, you had, you know, not only the rulers had to worship this image or worship this statue that the Nebuchadnezzar set up, which, you know, but all the basically everyone, the Jews that was there, you know, the Jews that was in the Babylon, that was under in Babylon, the Babylon citizens, the other heathen nations. This is why I said that you command that all people, nations, and language. So everyone, you know, other nations, you know, the Israelite that mainly in Babylon, you know, had to worship this image, right? You know, so this is why, you know, the reason I'm pointing out this fact because the MOTB is a idolatrous, you know, when you go in that word charagma, it goes back to the word idolatry, right? Idol worship, right? So, you know, and we know that Babylon, you know, that we know that America is spiritually Sodom and Egypt. You know, Babylon is called the great city, the great whore, right? The Babylon, the great, right? The daughter of Babylon, right? So we know that America is coming in the spirit of Babylon, right? You know, we know that America coming in the spirit of King Nebuchadnezzar. You know, you don't, don't be, don't be shocked when you see, you know, different rulers, different, your friends, whoever you work with, getting that MOTB, right? Getting that micro C hip, right? Because they don't. The reason they're doing that because what they first they're trying to save their soul, because they don't know that they're not worshiping the true power, because so-called Jesus Christ, is not gonna save them, right? You know, the only person that's gonna save us out of this, out of us, out of the times to come is Yahawah Shah. Okay, so I'm gonna skip down to the 10th verse, and the title is Worship of the Image Refused, right? Okay, so thou, O king, 10th verse, thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, pastry, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worship it, that he shall be cast in the midst of a burning fire furnace. Okay, so that was the decree by the king Nebuchadnezzar that no one worship that image when those musical instruments were played or sound was played. That they will be cast in the furnace fire in that very same hour. Right. 12 verse. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not like thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Right. So this basically this, you know, eunuch, whoever it was, I guess I believe it was like a eunuch or official or a ruler, that saw, that you know Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, that they didn't fall down, they didn't worship that image, they didn't praise, Babylon gods, they didn't praise that or bow down to that statue, right? You know, and these were people in charge of these was, they had power, they had a little bit power, because it said that that has set up over the affairs of the province, right? So they had a little bit power, in Babylon, but they didn't, they disobeyed the king's commandment, right? You know, okay, and I know that's scripture that goes into, that we have to, listen to the, rulers, but there's a certain aspect of that as well, and through the Holy Spirit that I can bring it out. But I'm gonna keep going on. 15 verse. Now, if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fire furnace. And who is that power that shall deliver you out of my hands? Right. So Nebuchadnezzar told, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, that at the same hour they supposed to be worshiping the other. They supposed to be worshiping the image like the other, people in Babylon is. They supposed to they supposed to bow down their heads, and worship, right? But they disobey, But he said, who gonna save them, right? Who's that power that's gonna save them, you know? So he basically repeating his decree to Shadrach, um, Abednego, and Meshach. I'm gonna jump down to the it's like 16 verse. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our power when we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fire furnace, and he will deliver us out of thy hand, O king. So, Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, they wasn't scared to, have to give up their life, for Yahawashi, they wasn't scared, they had faith and trust that Yahawashi would deliver them out of, out of that fire, out of that burning fire, right? But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, right? Lowercase g, thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Okay, so Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refuses to worship thy gods in the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar set up. 19 verse. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, in the form of his visage was charged against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the fire furnace 17 times more than it was wont to be heated. Right. So he put this on the tents. He put this fire furnace on the tents. A maximal. Super max. You know, And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and to cast them into the burning fire furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, in their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fire furnace. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were, just thrown. They didn't have a chance to take their clothes off, or do anything. They were just thrown in there, right? Just thrown in there like Daniel was thrown in the lion den. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Okay, and these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down, bound into the midst of the burning furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste and spake and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast these three men bound into the midst of the fire? So he asked a question to his counselors. They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And the form of the fourth is like the son of the Messiah. So he looked like an angel, right? It was an angel. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fire furnace, and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Messiah, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth in of the midst of the fire, because for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they was protected. They, that fire didn't, consume them. They were protected by the angel, right? By the angel. They got that the Most High gave charge to protect Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? So when the king saw this, he was, this is why he said he was astonished, right? He was, was shocked that, you know, that that they was still alive. And he told them to come forward. And the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men, upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was an hair of their head singed. So neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. Right. So the fire had no power. The fire didn't rule over them. Right. The fire had no power to consume them. Right. You know, the fire didn't touch their hair, their head, their clothing. There's no smell of fire on them. So it's just like they went through like it was like the fire wasn't even there. The fire wasn't even there. You know, it's like the fire wasn't even there. That shows the power of the Lord and how He can deliver us. If He can deliver Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego out of that fire, He can deliver His elect. As it's prophesied, He can, the elect will be saved out of those, tribulations, right? So you do so, you know, you don't think that Yahawah can't deliver us, this is why we have to have faith, we have to believe, we can't get, you know, too stuck in this world, we can't try to save ourselves, the scripture speaks about that. Whoever trying to save himself gonna lose his own soul, right? So we can't try to save ourselves with our carnal weapons, or you know we can't try to be carnal minded, when this MOTB come around, right? We have to believe on Yahweh Shai. We have to trust in Yahweh Shai, right? We have to constantly pray in Yahweh Shai name, to protect us, right, to have mercy on our soul, that we don't, that we'll be saved out of the tribulation to come, right? Scripture sees that his angels watching over them that, fear him, right? So the angels was watching over Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego because they fear the Lord, YAHAWASHI. They didn't worship any other gods, They didn't worship that golden image. 28 verse, then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the power of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him, right? And how changed the king's word and yielded their bodies that they might not serve nor worship any lowercase g gods except their own power, right? Therefore I make a decree that every people, nation, and language which I which speak in thing amiss against the power of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other power that can deliver after this sort. Right. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. Right. So that's a testimony of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The king made a decree that every nation, so Jew, had to worship and had to um, worship this power, to worship this so I could worship this golden image, right? That was in Babylon, right? And all the counselors, all the judges, everyone, all the sheriffs, every officials, worship that image except, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. When the officials saw that Shadrach and Meshach, and Abednego didn't worship that image, right? Didn't worship didn't worship the gods of Babylon, didn't worship that golden image, right? They delivered them up to the king Nebuchadnezzar, right? And then King Nebuchadnezzar, that he refuted, he basically, repeated the decree to them, right? And they said that they would not worship, they will not worship if he basically said if they do not worship. Nebuchadnezzar said to Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, if they do not worship, the gods of Babylon in that golden statue, that they're going to be cast into the furnace of fire, right? And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego said that no, they're not going to worship the gods of Babylon or the golden image. Then and say that if if he casts them into that furnace fire, they trust that Yahweh will deliver them out of that furnace fire. And as I read, when they did get cast in that furnace fire, and the fire and it to show the power of the Lord, it was on a tenth high, it was on maximum, right? It said that Nebuchadnezzar, he said he told them to turn it on a one, 117 times more, so originally the furnace fire wasn't hot, it wasn't real hot, but he commanded that it be turned on maximum, right? To be turned on, to be burning, to be like a volcano about to erupt, right? So it shows the power, you know, of Yahashua, that and it says that and it's written in it. If I go back, it says that the fire had no power over Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? Right here in the 27th verse. Um, the fire had no power, right? The fire had no power, so that furnace fire that was turned up on maximum, right? Then the hell couldn't even burn Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, right? it couldn't, you know, and this shows that Yahawashi he controls everything, right? You know, if we, if with MOTB, you know, he gonna, he gonna, you know, if this thing get even close, MOTB try to get even close to, his elect, right? He gonna deliver his elect, you know, he gonna make a way for us to be delivered, it's like hopeful elect, he gonna make a way for his hopeful elect, hopefully, he gonna make a way for his hopeful elect to be delivered from this MOTB, right? But for to be delivered from this Michael C. Hip, right? The one that fear him, he gonna make a way, right? Okay. So I'm gonna get a couple of precepts, I'm gonna get Exodus, 20. I'm gonna get just to show that Quran was the idolatrous image. I'm going to go to Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. Um, right hand up forehand to receive a mark, right? Which goes back to the word Karakma. A stamp and imprint mark an idolatrous image, right? So it's an idolatrous image, like that golden statue was. It was an idolatrous image, which just mean an idol, a god, right? Okay, so it's an idolatrous image. So I'm gonna get just Matthew 24 and 21, just to show you that it's written that great tribulation gonna come, right? Which is a sign of perilous times. And these words is what Yahweh was spoken, right? These words in red. 21 verse, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be, right? So there's gonna be great tribulations, gonna be tribulations goes back, tribulation means oppression, affliction, distress. So it's gonna be a great distress, great oppression, great affliction upon the whole world because of that MOTB, it's gonna be going around, that family of the word, family of food, third woe, that's gonna be happening, right? So it's gonna be a great distress. And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh be saved, but for the elect say those days should be shortened. What does that mean? That means that the times to come, yes, they, when they even, when they NWO, get, going for an effect, the times, gonna be speeding up, times already speeding up, but we know that when that NWO come, they try to make that when they made the MOTB mandatory, that Yabashasha you know, he gonna come deliver his elect, when they try to when they how that when they implemented people with MOTB right, we know that Yabashasha he gonna is not they're not going to touch the elect, the elect gonna be who are the elect is, they're gonna be saved, right? They're gonna be saved out of this out of this out of this out of from even trying to take them on TV, right? Um, right. So the whole point, is how great tribulation came, how distress came to Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, and how they was, thrown into the fire. Yabashasha, he was he saved. He commanded his angels. To save Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Um, Exodus chapter 20 verse 3. Thou shalt have no other powers or gods before me. Right. Plain code. Plain and simple. Right. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth, right? So we're not supposed to be making any graven images, right? We're not supposed to be worshiping their images. We're not supposed to be taking no microseed, right? In that microseed, you have to go inside your body, but in the scripture speaks about we're not supposed to make any colors in our flesh as well in Exodus, right? And then you continue reading. It says, "Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them." Right. So this Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they refuses to bow down um, to that golden statue. They refuse to worship the gods, right, of Babylon. For I, the Lord Yahawah, thy power, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. All right. So we know that um, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they refused, you know, and they took whatever punishment they was going to get, right? That's why we say that some brothers are going to be martyred for the truth. We just have to, if that's our lot, we just have to, go through it, right? We have to, that shows our faith, that shows our testimony, right? That if we have to be martyred for this truth, that we have a reward waiting, that we believe, we have faith that Yahweh is going to deliver us, you know, before they before we get you know brothers get their head chopped off or whatever is going to happen. Isaiah chapter 43 verse 2. Where thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers they shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned. Right? So Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, they was thrown in that fire furnace, and they guess what? The fire didn't burn them, right? Neither shall the flame kindle upon them, right? So if I go back, it says that the fire didn't touch their coats, it didn't touch their head, it didn't do anything to them. Daniel 3, maybe it was in 27. Oh, yeah, Daniel. All right. Daniel chapter 3, verse 27. In the print, again, I'm going to skip some of this. So this going back to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego when they were thrown in the fire furnace, upon whose body the fire had no power, right? So nor was an hair of their head singed, right? So their hair wasn't touched. Neither were their coats changed, right? So their coats was still, furnished. Their coat was still was new, right? Like they're going back to their garments. Their garments was still, as if they you know, as it was like it wasn't no pieces. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't touched. It wasn't ripped or whatever. Wasn't burnt. Changed the altar. Transformed. It wasn't transformed. It wasn't changed. It was an altar. Their head wasn't singed. And the word singed means you know which goes back to the word scorch, right? To scorch. Their head wasn't scorched, which means burned. their head wasn't burned, nor the smell of fire had passed on them, right? Because Yahweh Shah, he delivers them, right? You know, he delivered Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego out of that furnace of fire, right? Don't you think he would do the same thing to the elect, And this time, he gonna, Yahweh Shah, he gonna deliver his elect out of, out of the tribulation to come. Okay, so jump down to Psalms 19:1 and 10. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. Okay? For he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways, right? So, there was an angel charge over Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, you know, to keep them, to first, to put it in their mind, to refuse to bow down, right? To just to show the power of the Lord, Yahweh Bashar, to refuse, to bow down to that golden image, right? And when they were thrown in the furnace fire, it was an angel charge over them to keep the fire from burning right them, right? To keep the fire from, touching them, right? Like I said, like I mentioned, like the fire wasn't like the fire wasn't even there, right? And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they wasn't afraid, they wasn't scared, because they believe, they have faith that Yahweh Shai would deliver them out of that furnace fire. So that's their testimony, right? They have faith, they had, you know, they trusted in Yahweh Shai, that they will be delivered, right? So this is how we have to be. We have to be like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. We have to have faith and trust in Yahweh Shai that he would deliver us, you know, out of the tribulations to come, out of the fiery furnace of the wicked, right? Especially wicked eat, the scripture says why the devil come down with great wrath, right? So, I hope this lesson was edifying. I don't give all honor and glory and praises to Yahweh by Shem, Shabbat Shem, QADASH. Until the next time, we'll say Shalom.